Something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
The time is just gone 8:44 a.m. on News and Views this morning, and we stay with the Phoenix massacre, as it has been called. Now, we've seen many organizations, we've seen politicians, and earlier on we spoke to Advocate Mohammed Salim Khan about people obviously capitalizing on this issue. Now, we've seen a statement come out from the South African Black Muslim Conference, and this was dated on the 22nd of July, talking about this massacre. Now, there are a lot of assumptions that have been made, and right at the beginning of the show, I spoke about Professor Paula Zulu, a race relations unit at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, talking about the danger, about what is particularly dangerous in terms of making assumptions without knowing the facts and conducting proper analysis. Now, this statement by the South African Black Muslim Conference talks about if the perpetrators are Muslim. There is a lot of ambiguity. There's, I think, a lot of being premature in terms of issuing a press release talking about silence of Muslim organizations, considering the fact that this statement issued was on the 22nd of July. We've seen a statement that was issued by the United Ulama Council on the 19th of July. Also, at the same time, without knowing the facts, and this is important because at the end of the day, whatever needs to be done needs to be investigated. And also talking about numbers, because the statement talks about 300 people. The Health MEC for KwaZulu-Natal talks about 128 bodies, and all bodies cannot be related to what had happened. What the MEC was saying is there were many more bodies that were prior to the entire anarchy that had taken place. So there is just so much discussion at this point in time amongst various circles. And this morning, we joined on the line by the Amir of the Gauteng Muslim Shura Council, Muhammad Gadimang. Brother Muhammad, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh. Wa yaka Jummah Mubarak and Eid Mubarak to you as well.
Jazakallah to your trust, and I hope you had a wonderful Eid, brother.
Likewise, alhamdulillah, we had a wonderful Eid, even though we wish we could have had the broader Eid with the entire society, but alhamdulillah, we had a wonderful Eid.
Yes. Now, let's talk about this Phoenix massacre, and I'm sure you have been following developments as well. You've been following, what many are saying. We're talking about politicians. We're seeing people from various circles, organizations like the BLF, and then we've seen the statement that came out from the South African Black Muslim Conference expressing their concern. Now, upfront, we need to say no way do we condemn if there was any murder that was perpetrated. It needs to be dealt with as well. But, what I find is there's a fair amount of generalization that is going on. And that is a major concern, because this is not doing us any good. It is not doing our country any good. And this entire saga is now starting to take, to go along racial lines. And the race card is being played, Brother Muhammad.
It would be very interesting to understand when you say generalization, to actually expand a little bit on me, for me to understand what you mean when you say generalization, specifically looking into the statement that was issued by the SABMC.
Yes. Well, the thing is, when I'm saying generalization, I think a lot people seem to have bought into the situation that as far as, like, for instance, the statement speaks about if the perpetrators are Muslims. And obviously there's a lot of ambiguity. And why I'm saying generalization is it not premature to issue press releases until this entire saga is investigated? I see some have called for a commission of inquiry, and at the same time, obviously pointing fingers at certain groups.
You see, what is very interesting, and for us to issue that, is that Muslims are forgetting that in the township as well, we are Muslims. And this is more of second to the racialism. It comes to Islamophobia. We had calls, one from the people that were trapped in Phoenix that could not go out in about 3-4 days, that their parents or families are Muslims and are not Muslims. They themselves are Muslims, families are not. We had calls and concern from people in Gauteng, especially from our sisters, that are saying to us, hey, this thing that is happening in Phoenix is causing us a lot of problem and distress. We get in threats as we walk on the streets with our hijab and all of that. We have raised this concern with various Muslim communities to say, look, this is what is happening and this is the pressure that we are feeling. And now we took time for us to have issued this statement because we were trying and understand what is happening. But equally, all the videos that are going around, seeing the Maulanas quoting the Battle of Badr, people with guns, Muslims, and all of that is problematic. And it requested us to issue a statement. But not only that, we have so many messages that are coming out written by Muslims that are denying the fact that it's happening over in Phoenix. And what is being brought forth more than anything by Muslims is the fact of them giving groceries and hampers to people. And this is the argument that they are coming from. And that's what it agitated the issuing of this statement to say, you can't be so unjust. You are looking at an injustices being carried out against the people. And instead of coming down and investigating, look into it, what you're putting forth is to the people you are throwing back in their face the charitable work that you are giving to the people. And this is why we said it needs to be investigated. And if the people that are perpetrating that are Muslims, because Muslims seems to be in the forefront of trying to cover all those investigations and the inquest, to derail them, to begin to speak about the issue of reconciliation, which we want the reconciliation to be done. But we're saying as much as when you apply the wound, when you dress the wound, the first thing that you need to do, you have to clean the wound before you you dress the wound. We are saying before we can even talk about reconciliation, talking about everything, let it be investigated. If, as much as the government is going all out to arrest, to search for looted goods and everything, we are saying the guns that are not supposed to be carried by ordinary citizens that are in Phoenix, they need to be investigated. If the killing was indeed a massacre, the perpetrators for that needs to be done. And if they are Muslims, they need to be called for what it is. Because we are not going to allow Islamophobia to emerge in this country. Because we are the very first person that will feel the heat more than any other person, unfortunately, because we stay in the township and we stay among the majority of the people that happen to be blacks and that happen not to be Muslims.
Yes. Now, obviously, I understand where you're coming from, Brother Mohammed. And, obviously, you wouldn't have issued the statement if you didn't have certain facts at your disposal. As you mentioned, you were getting phone calls and the like as well. But again, I think the key issue here is I know a fair amount of the statement is directed at Muslims. And in the absence of an inquiry, in the absence of not knowing who was involved in the massacre, we don't even know, if they were Indians, whether those Indians were Muslim or they were non-Muslim.
One of the things that we seem to forget about the politician, I heard you earlier on talking about the figures. In fact, we would have put a figure at 500 because if you look at the National Funeral Parlor in KZN, they issue the figures. They are saying the morgues are full there. They are putting the figures for the massacre at 300. The official statement from government that was issued yesterday or so says 128. And our later statement actually was amended and say 128 based on the figure. But of course, anything, it's a moderate thing. But two, there are statements that are saying incapacity of the government. The same incapacity of the government, we are expecting the very same people to go out and to do an investigation or an inquest that is likely to be biased. All that we are saying, let them go out, arrest the perpetrators. The inquest should be done when the perpetrators have been arrested. And here we are referring to both the people that have killed the innocent people. I mean, how do we sit and sleep as Muslims when we get videos, we got calls that a mother has been killed when she was trying to protect an infant child that is less than a year old, like about 6-7 months old child, when they were trying to ban her car with the child in, and she was fighting and wanting to take her child out for them to ban the car. And she got shot in front of her child. Her child is an orphan as we speak. And these are the things that we should be folding arms and look at it. We say, let the perpetrators be arrested. Let the inquest resume after that. Once the perpetrators have been arrested, then the playing field needs to be leveled up.
Yes. Now, obviously, the other point you make about the silence of Muslims and Muslim organizations. Now, we've seen on the 19th of July, your statement, in fact, the South African Black Muslim Conference statement came out on the 22nd of July. And already on the 19th of July, we've seen the United Ulama Council of South Africa issue a statement as well, obviously condemning the violence that has taken place, and also at the same time expressing their condemnation with regard to killing of innocent people. Now, that's why the point I'm making is at this point in time, is it not premature in the absence of a full investigation being conducted and getting the results and the outcome of this investigation before any statements are being made?
We have the statement for United Ulama Council. We have engaged with the high people that are placed in that organization, raising the concern and issues, and some of them would send the messages or call them at about 2-3 hours, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, raising the concern and the issues that we were faced with. So we appreciate the statement that they have done. But if you look at the whole statement as well, it's only United Ulama Council that they did, but they are not even condemning all the people that are calling and issuing irrelevant statements that are deflating we've got videos that I can send to social media that are issued by Indians here in Gauteng and in KZN. We've got press statement or WhatsApp messages that have been issued by them. And if you look at this, no one is calling up. That's what I'm saying to you. If you look at our statement for it to have been issued on the 22nd, we really tried to be as calm as possible, understanding as possible, give this the fair hearing and assessment as much as possible. Equally, we're speaking to the people on the ground. We are likely to be going to KZN as well over this weekend or next week to try and assist the family of the bereaved people to identify the people and bury their loved ones. And try to find out and engage with the community to hear exactly what is happening. Even then, we still have people on the ground in KZN that are giving us the full report. But not only that, I don't know if you have seen, and there's a video that we had actually translated from Zulu of one of the Maulana. And I had a conversation with that Maulana. And part of what had happened, this is a Muslim Maulana, and this is the racism that we need to talk about in Islam. The Maulana, when the whole thing started, not only many black Muslims in KZN, when this mayhem started, they stood up with their own Muslim brethren, defending, protecting masjids and properties of Muslims. A few brothers got stabbed, including that Maulana. And the next thing, people that he pray with, he goes to the masjid with, they pull guns on him, calling him a kafir and all of that. And we're supposed to keep quiet as Muslims. And in KZN, this thing has been years coming. 2016-17, we had a similar thing of almost a xenophobic attack in KZN. Muslims, black Muslims were kicked out of the masjid in KZN by Indian Muslims that were saying to them, "You are not allowed to come in our masjid because you and your own brothers, you want to kill us." Now, the racial tension in KZN has been going on for a couple of for 3 years now. We had incidences, and we've got the complaints that came from the people of KZN that have been calling for the government to eliminate or to stop the Indians from benefiting through the BEE in KZN, as they are alleging that they are taking all the tenders in that particular provinces. So this racial tension in KZN has been going on for quite a long. Now, we are saying as Muslims, we should not only look at the Phoenix, we should look at the racial challenges that are there in Islam broadly, because as Muslims we've got a serious racial tension, and until we stand up and we're able to talk about it, we would then be able to go somewhere. But equally, what we want to call to order is that it cannot be that Muslims are taking out charity and they would say, because we are buying you a loaf of bread and milk, and we therefore you cannot even talk. If that's the case, they might as well keep their hampers and not bring them to the township, because if they are going to silence us, it's like when you give a dog food, even if that dog is so, it can never bite you if you feed the dog. So basically it's as if people are saying, we're feeding you, you are our dogs, you must just keep quiet because we are feeding you. If injustices is being applied, we must talk against it. If racism raises its head within Islam, we must be able to talk about it because we are feeling the pinch as well, both from and not all the Indians, not all Muslims, but there is racism that is applied by majority of Muslims against black Muslims, and this needs to be spoken about. It's a racism that is applied against black people generally. It needs to be spoken about. And we are calling even UXA not to issue a moderate statement that says, wait for the government for this to happen. If Muslims are doing wrong things, they're supposed to be in the forefront and make sure that those Muslims that have done that, they are facing the full might of the law. We need to be able to do the citizen arrest for those Muslims because Islam, at the end of the day, it will be the one that is going to face the hardship.
Well, Brother Mohammed, Jazakallah for that. Unfortunately, time is of the essence, but I think you've raised a number of issues, and this was something that we had a discussion on Monday as well, where there's a lot of introspection, and obviously we need to move to a stage where we need to address all the issues on both sides of the coins, and let's just see if we can find common ground at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I think it's for the betterment of us as a Muslim ummah, it's betterment for us as a country in terms of improving wherever we can in terms of how we relate to each other and our relationship with all of us. So I'm sure this is not the end of this discussion. There is a lot more to come, inshallah. We hope that, we can at least come together, be level-headed about this thing and put things into perspective. And inshallah, we will then be able to move forward as a country and as a Muslim ummah in South Africa. But for now, all the best to you, my brother. Please stay safe. Jummah Mubarak once again to you. We trust and hope that you're going to have a wonderful and inspiring Jummah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, that brings us to the end of the first half of the show this morning. The time is just gone 9 a.m. We're heading for the news at the Al Ansar newsroom. Tabile Duma is